this video, we're going to go over the metallic resin process. Now, this is a special process where everything needs to be done exactly right for this process to come out and give you a desirable look. When it's finished, it is very, very nice looking, and you can mix a variety of different powders. We provided you with the information and the supplier info on where you can get these powders. We use ourselves a gold, a bronze, and a silver metallic. I've outlined the ones that we've used and we've had success with. I'm going to be using one that has a gold, which I've also provided you with a small bag of gold. I would try to mix about as much as I've mixed here in this cup. It's easier to mix more of the gold instead of small quantities in order to get the gold properly mixed into the bead before we even add the A. Another thing, do not mix the gold flake anywhere near where there's uncured resin. Right now, we've just poured these other samples. If we were to leave these uncovered, you will have gold flake inside everything. This stuff gets everywhere, so make sure there's not a fan blowing or anything near it. Otherwise, you're going to have gold flake all over your shop. I've already pre-mixed the bead into this, and I've already pre-measured out the gold flake. This is really going to be up to you on how much gold flake you want to add. As you can see, I've got one measuring cup here that's about half full of gold flake, and I'm only using about this much of the bee resin, so this is going to be half the mixture. What I do is I dump that in. I take my stirring stick and I stir it. Work it gently, unlike the other resins, because the powder will fly out of the cup and it will get everywhere. It will start to thicken up. That's one thing you'll notice as the gold is mixed in the bead. You need to be sure to mix the gold thoroughly inside the bead. Make sure that the sides are scraped just like you were mixing both resins together. Once you've got it good and thoroughly mixed, we're going to take and we're going to add our A. I'm going to take my stick and stir this in, but with the gold, what we found, and you may want to consider this too, is using a powered mixing. And what we do is we take a corded drill and we attach a drill bit and we put masking tape on a popsicle stick. The reason for this is it's very difficult to stir this stuff together. And another thing I'm going to note to you right now is you can never reuse cups. You can never reuse popsicle sticks. So if you're planning on using a powered piece of mixing equipment, make sure you've got some sort of a disposable tip on it. Because there's not really an inexpensive option available out there in the market, we've kind of modified and used one of our own. Wear safety glasses while you're doing this, because with a powered drill it sometimes tends to splash. One last thing you want to do before you put this into an applicator is thoroughly scrape the sides one last time. The power equipment might not adequately grab all the edges, and we want to make sure that the resin's completely mixed together. Now one last thing, with the gold you have to make sure that you cut your substrate to a depth that's greater than if you were to put an opaque resin in. The reason for this is that the gold is actually an actual metal flake that will oxidize if it's exposed to the elements. So it's necessary, and you can even smear it with your finger if you were to touch it, it's necessary to put another coat of clear resin over the top of all metallics before. But it's also important to make sure that your gold resin is absolutely completely cured before you apply a clear resin over the top. As you can see, these fine letters here, it's very important that you find a bottle with a very fine tip to do this sort of detailed work. Once again, all you're trying to do is center on the object that you're filling, and the resin should self-level itself unless it's become to a point where it's already started to cure and it's not flowing to those open areas properly. The samples that we provided with you, this sample that reads text, 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 or you can find another sample that's cut to a particular depth, you should have enough to apply a very thin coat of the gold resin and still have it cover the entire surface area of what you want. The next step is to stand back and just leave this stuff sit. What you're going to see happen is there's going to be small popping and stuff in the resin. Do not use your flame torch on the gold. All the flame is going to do to the gold is going to tarnish it or leave an imperfection in it. The main thing with this is to just let it sit and let it cure as sitting. Once you apply your clear over the top, then you can use a flame torch and then let it take the bubbles out, and it should leave a perfectly smooth finish. That's how we do our gold and any of the other metallics. Make sure that you do not reuse any mixing equipment, cups, or applicators, because it can have an adverse effect on the final product. Even if the resin you feel is still viscous enough to add more resin, it's already curing at a different rate than the resin that's introduced to it. So just use new mixing cups for every single application and mixing. That takes care of the metallic resin part of our section.